What are the little green dots here?
People have cast their vote, if you will, about areas that they think we should avoid.
So only one person that says we should avoid cemeteries? Because they're already dead. Is schools in there? Schools? Yep. Playgrounds? Where do I get information about, like, how many cases of leukemia the stray voltage or something causes? And is there information here on that?
Yeah. Stray voltage is, I think, something different than
there's
you're talking about.
There's EMT, EMF.
Stray voltage. And let me see if I can find a sheet about say something. Am I just blind?
Which one are you looking for?
EMF. Or are they all?
They're all by engineering.
Of course they are.
Okay, that's over here.
Thank you. Anyway, you asked about sources. And,
An area being concession.
I'd direct you there.
Right.
I can't recall if this has information here, if they have it separately.
I don't believe that it's safe to season.
I don't know. I mean, you're welcome to that too, but I thought that
Not
might
interested in co-locating into any structure for yourself.
touch on it. I know they have information separately.
Any initial studies about having local generation of, like, solar cells on everybody's roofs and local wind power instead of having a transmission line bringing wind power from one part of the country to the other?
Are you asking me a question?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm missing the question.
Is there any studies on that preceding? I mean, it seems like this one's just about building the power line.
It is.
And so, where does it come from? I mean, because it's a company that wants to build the power line.
Right.
Okay. I'm just wondering what...
Oh, yeah, well, I mean, we're in the transmission business, not in the generation business.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so no doubt there have been studies about wind generation. I mean, there are a lot of wind developers that propose wind turbine sites. I'm not honestly that familiar about what they might be doing in this area, but, you know, around Wisconsin, there are proposals from time to time to build wind turbines. I live over in Appleton, and if you're familiar with, the Oshkosh-Fond du Lac area around Lake Winnebago, there's a new wind farm that's up and running down there. There are a couple to the east of Lake Winnebago. A lot of those proposals, I mean, that's a business that seems pretty dynamic.
How much metal and stuff does this all include compared to building local wind generating, compared to the power lines that take a lot of resources, I'm sure, to build this? I'm just wondering kind of comparison of local windmills. Seems like you could build a lot of windmills out of the materials that this is taking to build the power line.
I mean, to the extent that there's a comparison, I mean, you know, the wind turbines are on steel structures, as the pole, you know, the transmission lines are. I would have no idea what the equivalent might be. I mean, the wind turbine towers typically are quite a bit higher
than the transmission line.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
that 1,500 feet?
Well, it won't necessarily be 1,500 feet as we go through the next rounds of open houses. We will try to narrow that down, and when it ultimately goes to the Public Service Commission, it won't necessarily be an exact location of the line, but it'll be a couple of 100 foot wide rather than a couple of 1,000 foot
And
wide.
what is the chances of, why would you need this plus the new line?
Because this is a Dairyland Power Cooperative transmission line that goes between two substations of theirs and is meant to provide very localized coverage. This is a bulk transmission line going between La Crosse and Madison. It's not going to have any other stops. Not going to have any stops in between. So we need to.
And it's a wider right of way.
Not necessarily. It all depends on the design of the line, what the voltage of the line is. I would think this is either a 69 or a 161 because those are the only voltages they use out this way. Ours is a 345, so typically a 345 kV line would have a wider right-of-way, but we can't figure out the actual width of the right-of-way till after we design the line. It's a function of what the spacing of the poles is, what the design of the poles are, to figure out how